89 more checks until we all get a cut of 23% in our Social Security checks. And that was put out by the Social Security Trustees report that just came out with the analysis. There's a couple of other organizations out there, Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget. They said it's actually going to be sooner, it's going to be more, but we'll stick with the official trustees report because that's scary enough, hopefully, for everybody. Although it doesn't seem to be scary enough for politicians because they knew this day was coming for 40 years. And what have they done for 40 years? Nothing, except for a bunch of misdirection and BS. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the so-called freeloaders. And on a daily basis on my YouTube channel and TikTok and all these other places out there, I get all the comments that, well, Social Security would be great if you got all the people, the illegals, undocumented immigrants, the people that are 120 years old that are receiving Social Security benefits. And Elon Musk, that was pretty much a bust on him. He said all that stuff. Notice he didn't find one single dime of anybody over 120 years old receiving Social Security benefits. Why? Because it didn't exist. I said that from day one, and I was proven right. And how do I know? Is because I know exactly what database he was looking at, and there's zero money coming out of that database. So yeah, he is looking at a completely wrong thing, a completely inaccurate thing, and he didn't find anything. I wish he would step up and say, hey, okay, I was wrong. I was looking at the wrong database. The money's not given out over here, it's given out over there, and I was looking at the wrong thing. Sorry to, give you all this false hope that Social Security was going to be saved by this. So that is done, hopefully, unless it comes up again. But now we've got the old freeloaders. That freeloaders are receiving Social Security benefits. And when we're talking about freeloaders, we're talking about a particular group of people that didn't pay into Social Security and are receiving Social Security benefits. So, and there's actually politicians, and I'm going to show you a little video here. So this was a politician that was actually asked a good question. It was framed a little bit different, but I could see the audience, was asked a very good question, and rather than answering that very good question that could do a lot to save Social Security, he decides to go into the freeloader mode and start talking about that. So let's listen to him, and we'll see him pivot and then give out this pretty much standard BS information about Social Security.
Go Broncos. My question is actually about Social Security, and my guess is that the majority of people in this room probably make less than $176,000 a year, which is the limit for Social Security in 2025, which means the majority of the people in this room will pay 6.2% on 100% of their income next year. Right. But those making over will not have to pay that extra 6.2%. Would you be in favor of reforming Social Security so that those making under could potentially pay less than the 6.2%?
Yeah, the question is, am I in favor of reforming Social Security? We're going to be forced to, because if we don't reform Social Security, it's going to go bankrupt. Now, that doesn't mean we take benefits away from people that's paying in it. What it means is we kick people off that didn't pay anything into it.
Okay, number one, he didn't answer the question. The question was about smashing the FICA cap, and they kind of framed it the other way. Hey, if we have to pay 6.2% of every dollar we make into Social Security, why are those people over $176,100 don't have to pay 6.2%? Why are they exempt after that? And then typical politicians, I understand your question. Now I'm going to answer something completely different. So now he goes on to answer something completely different.
And the last time I checked, that's what Social Security was for. If you pay into it, you're guaranteed to receive back. But we have hundreds of thousands, maybe millions, because we haven't done a full audit, and the Social Security office won't send it to us. But I bet you Elon will figure it out. We have a tremendous amount of false payments going out. We have to do something to it. We can't balance the budget. We can't get our house back in order if we don't get into some type of mandatory spending. 76% of our entire budget is on mandatory spending, and yet we bicker over 24%. Now, how are we ever going to balance the budget off the 12 appropriation bills if we're only going to be able to touch 24% and get a $1.8 trillion spending deficit under control? It's not going to happen. But if we actually get into these programs and audit them and actually get them at doing what they're intended to do, like Social Security, we can keep everybody's benefits where they're at. We don't have to put anybody into worries thinking it's not going to be there for them, because it should be there for them. But we have to, as I said, I'll repeat myself and then I'll end the question, we have to get people off of it that never paid a dime into it.
Okay, so you know exactly what he's talking about. He's saying immigrants, people that are in this country illegally are receiving Social Security benefits. And I've talked about this several times. That is 100% incorrect. In order to receive retirement benefits, disability benefits, you have to prove your citizenship, or you have a green card, your legal status in the United States. How do I know? I've taken hundreds of thousands of claims, and that's the proof you have to provide. So what is he talking about? People that are receiving Social Security benefits that never paid into it. Are there people that receive Social Security benefits that never paid into it? Absolutely. Millions and millions and millions of people are receiving Social Security benefits that never paid into it. Surviving spouses, divorced spouses, independently entitled divorced spouses. So if you stay home, raise the family, take care of the kids, take care of the home, whatever the case may be, and your spouse goes out there and works, then when that person files for benefits, you are eligible for benefits on that person's record. You have to file for benefits on your own record first, and how it goes is you go in there and says, well, I never paid into Social Security, but they have to confirm that you never paid into Social Security, so they go through the application and, basically said, okay, you're not entitled to Social Security benefits. No problem. Now let's go ahead and take a spouse claim, a surviving spouse claim, a divorce claim, or whatever the case may be on your spouse. You obviously had to be married. If it's a divorce type situation, you had to be married for at least 10 years or longer. And there's all kinds of other, different requirements that you have to fill out, but you yourself never had to pay one dime into Social Security, and you can receive those type of benefits. There's also disabled widows benefits. So if you lose a spouse and you're disabled before the age of, between the ages of 50 and 59, you can collect benefits on your deceased spouse's record. Who other the children, if you lose a parent, surviving children can get benefits. They never paid into it. If their parent is receiving disability benefits, the children can get benefits up until the age of 18 or until they graduate high school, or 19 and 2 months. If their parent is on retirement benefits, same type of situation. There's DAC benefits, disabled adult child benefits, children that have never paid into Social Security and became disabled before the age of 22 years old. They never had to pay into Social Security, and they can get DAC benefits. There's auxiliary child in care, surviving child in care, where you've got someone that's essentially staying home to take care of a child under the age of 16 or became disabled before the age of 22. They never had to pay into Social Security. So there's a lot of categories of people that never paid into Social Security that can receive Social Security. And the category that's not in there is people that are in this country illegally. And people will say, but they receive Social Security cards and Social Security numbers and whatever the case may be. So if they somehow get a Social Security card, let's say they come over here on a temporary work visa and they work a little bit and they stay over, or they come over as a student and get allowed to work on campus or something like that. But then once they graduate, they don't return to their country, they stay in the country. They can, or they get a fake Social Security card at the local swap meet, wherever they get the Social Security number, and they work under it. Perfect. $39 billion or so every single year is donated by those people that work under incorrect Social Security numbers, or work under, the IRS provides a temporary ID number that they can work under to pay taxes. They pay taxes, they pay into Social Security, but they will never get that money back. They will never get that money back unless later they become a citizen or stay in, or they change their status to legal status in the United States. So there's estimated about $39 billion every single year that's paid into Social Security as a donation. And those people never get it back because they essentially, aren't eligible to receive those benefits because they're not in the country legally. So, but politicians continue to trick us. And someone just said Social Security has always been a Ponzi scheme. And that's kind of the senator is saying the same type of thing. Oh, the Social Security has never given an audit. We've been asking them for years, and maybe Elon Musk will finally get the numbers. That video didn't age well, did it? But the Social Security trustees have been providing detailed information for 40 years. And I think the good senator there just needs to just go to the Social Security trustees report. It gives out everything in detail every single year. So this is kind of one of the figures they give out. $2.6 trillion was in the reserves, and this much came in, and that much came out, and we had interest and taxation of benefits. And after all of that, after 2.5 trillion is left in there. So this is pages and pages and pages and pages of details, and Social Security goes through audits on a regular basis, and they've passed every audit. My office was audited several times, and we always pass with flying colors. I'll tell you, an agency that never passes audits, Department of Defense, that's where audits never seem to pass, except for one. There's one military program that passed a recent audit for the first time in several years, and I will give you one hint which one it was. Former sergeant in the Marine Corps. Yeah, the Marine Corps actually passed one of their audits here recently. So congratulations, Marine Corps. Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. So the question was asked, the senator was asked, what about the 6.2%? So that's the issue right there. It's not immigrants. It's not, people 120 years old receiving benefits. That was proven to be 100% false. Come on, Elon, face up to it. The problem is the people making over $176,100 just don't pay into Social Security. And that's where all the money since the 1980s has been going. It's been exempted from Social Security. So if we would have kept that money, because that's, we're the ones that produce that money, but it just doesn't come down to us, unfortunately. All right, so this is also a live Q&A as well, and it looks like we've got a ton of questions about all things. And if you disagree with any of the statements, you disagree with a good senator, you agree with a good senator, you think there are people that are receiving Social Security benefits, and we're not talking about SSI. SSI is a completely different program. Social Security administers SSI. It's a supplemental security income, and those people, it's a welfare-based program. But you have to prove your U.S. citizenship or that you're in the country legally to get that type of program. And that's for people that never paid into Social Security. They're not entitled to it. Some people pay into Social Security, like you can get SSI, let's say you can get it based on disability or being aged. Let's say you're 66 years old and your Social Security benefits on your own record and spouse benefits or whatever are only like $500. You just can't live on that. So you can apply for SSI aged from 65 on and get up to $967. What they do is they offset. So if you're getting $500 from retirement benefits on your own record and you apply for SSI and they approve you, you can get another $467. So if you know anybody out there that's getting under $967, make sure you reach out to them, have them file for SSI. Again, under 65 years old, have to be disabled. Over 65, you can get it based on being over 65 years old. And if you're eligible for SSI, then you're also categorically eligible for Medicaid from the state. And so that will definitely help you out in terms of paying for all of your medical issues. Okay, let's go ahead and get into some questions. Penelope, what's up, Penelope? I don't imagine Elon is much inclined to say he's wrong about anything. Yeah, I thought he was a bigger man than that. And I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow or something talking about, non-citizens getting Social Security cards, which is completely, ironical considering him and, he and the other guy that was on the stage with him also were receiving Social Security cards and not being a U.S. citizen. So it's kind of, anyway. So I wish, I wish he would stand up and say, oh, yep, okay, I was wrong. I was looking at the wrong database. Mark Wayne Mullins, then why didn't you help fix it? Exactly. Exactly. And he was talking about balancing the budget and everything. And guess what? Yeah, they definitely didn't balance the budget. They made the budget a lot worse. Okay, here's the person that said it's literally a Ponzi scheme. No, it's not a Ponzi scheme. Social Security, a Ponzi scheme eventually runs out. Social Security, because Social Security is mandated, you have to pay FICA taxes. So Social Security itself will be around here for hundreds of years. It will never run out as long as there's actually people working and paying into Social Security. Okay? What's running out is that trust fund. Why? Because we have X amount coming in every single year, and then we have more going out, and there's a gap there. And what covers that gap right now? The trust fund. So we're pulling money out of the savings to cover that. So about 8% of your Social Security check comes from the trust fund. So Social Security will always be here. Another thing about Ponzi scheme is they hide it, where it comes from and all the rest of it. And I just showed you, you can look at the Social Security trustees report, and it tells you exactly where the money comes from, where it goes, how much interest it's gained, how much we did all this. So very much details. So yeah, that's another thing that Elon Musk was trying to talk about. So it's not a Ponzi scheme. I'm so tired of politics not answering questions. Yeah, that's people say I should be a politician sometime, and I'm like, no, I could never be a politician, because when somebody asks me a question, I like to answer the question rather than saying, oh, that's a nice question. Let me answer something completely different. Yeah. We are buying flagpoles, parades, ballrooms, jets from Qatar. Yes. And yeah, there's all kind of paying, billionaires who don't need the extra money. We're giving them a whole bunch of money. Corporations that don't need the extra money, they'll probably just do stock buybacks rather than passing it on to consumers. There's nice little tax breaks in there. If you're looking to buy a private jet, you're good. Anything else for the regular? Yeah, not so much. I'm letting everyone on your YouTube channel. I'm going into the hospital because my doctor found a mass in my stomach. Oh my gosh, Joseph, one of our regular viewers. Everybody give some love and prayers to Joseph there. Hopefully everything is okay. One of our great community members here that's always looking to help out. So hope everything works out for you. Killa, ex-spouse makes $2 million. Apply Ed fires as a divorced spouse, but denied because I'm on disability SSDI and receive the full amount, around $1,600. Any of you out there try to live off that much? Okay, so you're receiving $1,600. Yeah, so your ex-spouse makes $2 million, and you're receiving about $1,600, and you're wondering why you're not receiving benefits from your ex-spouse. So remember, number one, your ex-spouse doesn't have to be receiving benefits for you to start receiving benefits on that person's record. Okay, that's called the independently entitled divorce spouse. As long as you're at least 62 years old and your primary insurance amount is less than half of theirs. So if you're receiving $1,600, then his primary insurance amount has to be over $3,200. And I think that's probably the issue. A lot of people that make that kind of money don't pay into Social Security. They don't get regular wages. They do all kinds of other strange stuff, so they don't have to pay that much into Social Security. So that's probably it. Or they just started, making that kind of money recently. And remember, Social Security determines your benefit amount based on your high 35 years of earnings, not how much you made last year or 2 years ago or the last 5 years. It's high 35 years of earnings. So. Barbara, I have a friend who can't work due to a mental disability, and she only tried to work about 1 or 2 months and has been on SSI for many years, which now she's 66. If she loses it, she loses all her needed meds. Okay, so she's not going to lose SSI because of a disability, because she gets better or whatever, because she's beyond 65. So now she is no longer an SSI disability. She is on SSI aged. So her disability, they're not going to send her, CDRs, continuing disability reviews and all that kind of stuff. She's on it based on being 65. But in terms of she's on SSI and she's probably already also receiving Medicaid from the state. Yeah, that's going to be an issue. She is eligible for Medicaid from the state, but she's going to possibly, depending on the state, have to jump through a bunch of bureaucratic hurdles that they're putting up to kind of kick people off of Medicaid. But we're coming up with a program to hopefully to make sure that doesn't happen. So stay tuned on that one. Let's see. Why does this justify increasing the retirement age from 60 to 67? These are excuses to cheat people. Yeah, the retirement age is, its full retirement age has been 67. It's officially 67 starting this year. It's creeped up, before it was 65, and, they made a deal in the 1980s to slowly increase the full retirement age. And now, effective this year, it is 67 continuing. But there are some politicians that say, hey, let's do it again. It's not going to hurt us. We don't care about receiving Social Security benefits because, we've got tons of other money. But in order to shut people up, I guess that's a solution. Or if you don't want to do that, let us give Social Security over to Wall Street, which the recent Treasury Secretary said this is a kind of a back door to privatizing Social Security. So they're wanting to mess with the retirement money from the people who attended Woodstock. Yeah, the Summer of Love. Yeah, it's interesting. The people of Woodstock turned into the craziness of the 1980s. Go figure. So, how thousands or millions not paying into Social Security really? 100,000s or millions not paying into Social Security. Yeah, everybody pays into Social Security unless obviously you're really rich and you only pay for the first 176,000. Well, it's kind of like this. If the people that pay more into Social Security are the high wage earners. If you're own your own business and stuff, usually you do capital gains and you do this other type of stuff. So like Elon Musk probably I'm not 100. I haven't seen his tax records, but the way he sets his up and other millionaires and billionaires like that, they probably don't even pay into Social Security at all. So so there's that. Carolyn. Dr. Weir, my husband was on SSDI. I'm recently widowed and was told I would get less because I retired at 63. I will get less than my husband got. We together only $2,000 a month. Can I get SSI? If you're together 2,000, so if your benefit amount on your own is less than $967, then yes, you can get SSI. You can get SSI and SSDI. So you're widowed. Yes, when you file for surviving spouse benefits, widower benefits, same thing. When you file for, anytime you file for benefits from Social Security early, they're reduced, except for disability. So if you filed for widow's benefits at 63, yes, it's reduced because you filed for benefits early. So the strategy is, if you don't want it to reduce, then you collect benefits, continue to collect benefits on SSDI or retirement benefits, and you don't touch survivor benefits until they're at max, or vice versa. Or you collect survivor benefits and you don't touch yours and wait till it's maxed. That is one option for you. You retired at 63, not sure how old you are right now. You're on SSDI and survivor benefits. What you possibly can do, I would check this out. A couple of 3 months before you reach your full retirement age, you might be able to, you will be able to suspend your benefits. It's called voluntary delayed retirement credits. So you voluntarily delay switching from SSDI to retirement benefits, okay? And then you continue to get your surviving spouse benefits. And then once you hit your 70th birthday, then you can switch back onto your own if it's more money. So I would check out, I'm not sure your calculations there, but if your benefit amount, if you suspend your benefits at your full retirement age and wait that 3 years to get that 8% per year, then at 70, that you might get more money, depending on your particular benefit amount. But I would definitely check that out. That might be a trick that might get you some more money. So it's called voluntary delayed retirement credits. And if you go into a local Social Security office, not many people know about that and use that. So if you go into a local Social Security office, the people at the front window who are generalists probably will say, we have no idea what you're talking about. And you just say, I want to talk to a Title II CS, the Title II of the Social Security Act. That's what I was before I became a manager. And they'll get you to someone that actually knows what they're talking about. And if the CS doesn't know about it, then you say, I want us to talk to a Title II TE, a technical expert, and they will definitely They better, they better. Well, nowadays, considered Elon Musk ran so many people out of the Social Security Administration, usually the most knowledgeable. Yeah, some offices are having a hard time. Thank you for doing this live. I truly appreciate you. Thank you. And I appreciate you because you're going to take all this information and go out there and help people in your community, right? That's what we do here. Let's see. Where does this donation go? I'm not sure. If you're donating to us, it goes to keep up the website and buys my son and I a cup of coffee. And then we've added, because some people said, yeah, I'd really like to, throw you and your son a couple of bucks for all this, but I just don't have the money. Perfect. But so we figured out a way. If you're going to buy stuff on Amazon, daily needs, if you go into the description, you'll see the Amazon affiliates link. And if you're going to buy something, use that link and throws a couple of bucks our way, and we appreciate it. So my wife said I have to stop using the retirement benefits for all our retirement for all this stuff. So I appreciate it. We appreciate it. My son appreciates it. Thank you, Dr. Ed, for always bringing us the truth on everything Social Security in a timely manner so that we are always informed on the top information. You're awesome. Thank you. And remember, on my website, I also have all of this as well. So if you call your politician and they start giving you that BS, pull this up. So if you're calling them up and you say, hey, yada, 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 and they say, well, the money was stolen anyway, then you it says, no, the money was not stolen. Where's the Ponzi scheme? Is it really a Ponzi scheme? No, here's the reason it's not a Ponzi scheme. So it gives you a bunch of answers to all the regular BS. And these are dangerous because, we should have solved the issue of Social Security so we don't get cuts, but, they are using all this misinformation for political motivations to privatize Social Security. So if they keep us focused on the useless information, the incorrect information, the shiny objects, then we're never going to get it fixed. And that's one of the reasons we haven't gotten it fixed in 40 years. So there's that. SSI is a welfare benefit, not Social Security. That is correct. The rules are different because SSI isn't an earned benefit. It comes from general revenue. 100% correct. Yes, it is a needs-based program. You have to have low income, low resources, be disabled, or 65 and older. It celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. Social Security took it over in 1974. It used to be welfare programs that each state did all kinds of different ways. And then they decided in 74 to, hey, we need to, kind of consolidate this under, one agency, and they chose Social Security to do that. And it's because, there's basically, three types of offices that are throughout the United States. You got the IRS, and IRS probably wouldn't be a good idea. They take money, they don't give it out. The post office, you don't want it, people going to post office to get their retirement benefits and, SSI and all the rest of it, or the Social Security Administration. Social Security Administration has 1,200 offices throughout the country. So they obviously, it was a no-brainer to have Social Security administer the SSI program. So I know of hundreds of people who bring their parents here from India and they start getting monthly benefits right away. Incorrect. How does that happen? How do they qualify for benefits? Yeah, they don't get Social Security benefits. There's a 5-year waiting period for that. So basically, when people come over as part of, they sponsor their parents or something like that, they promise to the immigration that says, okay, this person will not be, a drain on sources for 5 years. You said you're going to bring this person over here and take care of them. So yeah, no, that does, unless something happens to, their kids or something like that. And then, they're destitute, then there's kind of exceptions there. So heck no, privatization, keep their filthy hands off our money. Yes. Sounds like a scene from Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes, keep your filthy. Anyway, it's so nice. It's nice to see millionaires and billionaires looking into the supposed crimes of Social Security. Yes. And they're looking at all the wrong places, Elon Musk found zero fraud, waste and abuse of Social Security, which is crazy because before you start typing, people out there, the keyboard warriors, there is fraud, waste, and abuse in Social Security. Our office, I've found a lot. I've found more money. I've found more fraud. of people receiving disability benefits and SSI and retirement benefits than Elon Musk did. I found, millions and millions. Elon Musk found zero, and which is crazy. It was like, come on. I told him several times, give me a call. I'll tell you where the fraud, waste, and abuse is. But it's not, millions of 120-year-old, 200-year-old people receiving benefits. It's just individual cases. Oh yeah, this person over there is receiving disability benefits and they're working, and they're making over their substantial gainful activity and they're not within their trial work period. And that's bureaucratic. That's not sexy. And he was looking for the sexy, stuff. So why are they trying to take Medicaid away from? Yeah. Because the rich need their tax breaks and they had to find money someplace. So I will say the phone system is getting better. I was told if your local office is too busy, it gets forwarded to the other offices that are not as busy. It took 8 minutes to get a live person. Yeah, that's been like that for a while. In my office, we used to, we set up, because we had a lot of space in our office, we hired some more employees, and those employees were kind of like a mini teleservice center that answered questions, that answered the phones for other offices in our area. So that's been happening for quite a while. So, so it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's getting a tad bit better. But one of the reasons it's getting better is people are getting frustrated by talking to the AI and they just kind of give up. So I'm 72 and still work while receiving Social Security. How is my Social Security calculated based on my current employment? Okay, so good question. So it's based on your current employment. So as soon as you file taxes next year or your employer tells Social Security how much you make, then Social Security will look at your earnings for this year, last year, or whatever, and say, hey, is this one of Brenda's high 35 years of earnings? And if it's one of your high 35 years, they kick out the low one, stick in the new high one, and they recalculate 100% automatic. You don't have to do anything. So, and how the sausage is made, they do that and they come up with an AMI, averaged index monthly earnings. They index it for kind of a wage index, and they come up with the average monthly, and then they multiply that by these bin points, 90, 32, 15%. So yeah, that's how they do that. That's probably way too much more information than you were asking. But anyway, there you go. I don't know what I am on. I was disabled until I turned 67 and retired. So am I on SSA or SSI or SSDI? You're not on SSDI. Guarantee that. You were on SSDI possibly before, but once you hit your full retirement age, you're switched to regular retirement benefits. So if your benefit is $967 or under, you could be under SSI and retirement. You could be receiving retirement and SSI. If your benefit is over $967 from Social Security, then you're receiving regular retirement benefits. So, and because you're receiving regular retirement benefits and you're over your full retirement age, there's no more work limitations. There's no more CDRs or anything like that. You're completely good and free. You can do whatever you want. You are a free person. Let's see. Vicky stayed home, raised our children, and took care of my sick husband. 48 years. Those of us following the system should be grandfathered in. My husband only lived 2 years of his 50 years of working. Okay, so yeah, grandfathered in. So no need to grandfather, because if you are eligible for those benefits, the senator thinks you are a freeloader because you didn't pay into Social Security and you're getting benefits, but we all know here that that's incorrect. You're just you're eligible for those benefits. You supported someone to go out there and to work in the workforce, and therefore you're eligible for those benefits. So, yeah, unless they change it, I don't think they're going to change that. We never know what they're going to do. It's crazy. So, but hopefully they don't. All right, let's see. Just to make something crystal clear, if I retire at age 62 and collect my benefits, then when my husband retires at full retirement age, will I be able to get more benefits? It depends on your benefit amount and his benefit amount. So your logic is correct. You're 62 years old. You start receiving benefits on your own record. It's reduced because you're filing early. And then when your husband starts receiving benefits on his record, then you file as a spouse and you get up to 50%. It depends how old you are when you file for benefits on his record. So, and his benefit amount has to be twice your full benefit amount, not how much you're receiving, but your full benefit amount as if you had waited. So, Bonnie, I'm scared to put too much out there. I wish, like you said, take and took at the Social Security office. It isn't easy living alone and trying to understand the system. Yes, that's why we do these live Q&As. There's people throughout the country, and they can't get to an office, and they have questions, and my website answers a whole bunch of those questions too. And then our new platform that we're going to be bringing is going to be bringing a lot more help too. How about the money that gets taxed over $176,000? The 6.2, 3% goes back to the person paying it, 2% goes to Social Security, 1% goes to Medicare, Medicaid. Everybody gets a little, nobody, not sure. So yeah, there's no money that's taxed over $176,100 for Social Security. Medicare, there is no cap on Medicare, that 1.45%, plus there's actually a little bit more. But in terms of Social Security, FICA, if you make over $176,100, that's it, you're done. There are politicians and our community here who all believe that that cap should be smashed and everybody should pay 6.2% on all of their income. And there's a couple of bills in Congress to do that, but there's been bills in Congress to do that forever and ever and ever. And we all know here what a bill is. Yeah. So it's just a bill, a lonely, lonely bill until we get behind it and make sure it actually happens. So, I live on 1036 a month and I have a bank taking all now with overdraft fees. Oh, a fee of $30 got paid this month and I had $300 to pay my bill. Oh my gosh. So if you're living on 1036 a month, and unfortunately, SSI, you're making over it for that. But hopefully if, you've got Medicaid from the state, hopefully you've got that. If you got Medicare, hopefully the Medicaid from the state is paying for your Part B premium, that $185. And we need to pay attention to that because that might be going away, for a lot of people. That's really going to hurt. But if you go onto my website, you click on the more at the top, and there's a little drop down with all kinds of, overpayments, living overseas, veterans, Medicaid. You click on the living on Social Security alone, and it has a bunch of different programs that might help you out, make your life a bit easier. A lot of these programs are under attack as part of the big, beautiful bill. Medicare Savings Program, SNAP, SSI, not yet. Extra Help, Medicaid under big attack. This one's under attack. This one's under attack. This one, the low Section 8, they're all pretty much cut back and going to start being depleted because of the big, beautiful bill. And our politicians think that is a beautiful thing, to make people that are already suffering suffer even more. It is a beautiful thing for our politicians. So, hey, Caroline, I'm 72 now and recently widowed. Oh, okay, I already answered this one. Let's see. Is the NSSA certified Social Security advisor class worth taking? No. Yeah, there's a lot of people out there that, particularly it's Medicare insurance agents, they take that class and it's basically a 2-day class online, give you a really general overview of Social Security, and then they give you this cute little certificate that says you're an expert or advisor, or Social Security advisor. And then they go out there and cause chaos and anarchy and give people wrong information and go out there and give classes. And what they're trying to do is sell you Medicare insurance and stuff like that. So, but if you didn't work for Social Security for a few decades, if you didn't take hundreds of thousands of claims, because there's so many exceptions, the exceptions. There's over 20,000 pages of policies, and you can't learn that in 2 days. When you're hired for Social Security, you're sent to class 40 hours a week for at least 3 months to learn whatever program you're going to be doing. If it's Title II, Title 16, if you're going to be a CSR, whatever the case may be, you're given that class for 3 months. And then basically about a year or so after that, you're under 100% review. Every time you before you even push a button, a technical expert checks to make sure you're doing the right thing. So yeah, those are, and they're crazy expensive too. I ought to start doing that, charging, $5,000 for a 2-day class, but it's, yeah. You got people on here, Take and Took and Pink Owl and Penelope and Nelson, and they know more about Social Security than those advisors ever will. So Penelope, I think, already knew everything about Social Security before she even came here. But anyway, that has to stop. They didn't pay in to collect a penny. It's for those who paid. So you think spouses who supported their other spouse should not receive benefits? You think children who lost their parents should not receive benefits? Don't think you're going to be super popular here. Yeah, I think you mean something else. I hope I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm 58, a widow. Is it better to get Social Security at 62 or 67? I'm currently working full time. Nobody can tell you when you should start your benefits. There's a bunch of variables there, but off the top of my head, since you're working full time, that's a big issue. You go onto my website, click on retirement. My website is mygovexpert, mygovexpert.com. And you click on the little button that says when to start. And then it gives you a little calculator there, 100% free calculator. It gives you a bunch of questions that you should ask yourself and when you start benefits. But if you're working full time and you're making over $23,400, then probably not, because anything over $23,400, until you reach your full retirement age, they're going to hold back $1 for every $2 you go over. So instead of giving wealthy people our money for our benefits, maybe they should hold a telethon for poor, starving billionaires. Yes, that's how I say it. People say, when I say, hey, we should smash the cap, and so, millionaires and billionaires should pay the same amount of money, and people say, well, that would defeat the purpose, because then those people would just give bigger checks. And they don't understand bin points. They don't understand that if you are a low-income worker throughout your life, your replacement rate in your Social Security check is about 90%. If you're a high earner throughout your life, your replacement check is probably about 30%. So that's been the fact since 1935. So we just add another bin point. And I always say, okay, if you got a billionaire that pays 6.2% into Social Security, they can get their $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000 check, and then we'll name a dog park after them or something, for the rest of it. So anyway, that's the social part of Social Security. So Florida is not doing well. Housing crisis to crisis with tourism crashing hard. Yeah. I grew up in Bradenton and Homestead before Hurricane Andrew. And yeah, Florida has always been an interesting place. My sister is living there trying to get out because of home insurance. It's, all those hurricanes and floods, and yeah, it's very, very difficult to live in Florida. But one of the one good thing is if you choose a Medicare Advantage plan rather than a Medicare Supplement plan, Florida has some of the best Medicare Advantage as compared to other states, because there's giant competition down in Florida, because obviously a lot of elderly go down to Florida. So there's a lot of competition. So you can get, Medicare Advantage plans down there that are some of the best in the country. This year, all bets are off on what's going to happen next year, 2026. We don't know what the Medicare Advantage plans are going to look like next year until October. So in October, they're all going to, all the plans are going to come out with their new plans, and I think it's going to be crazy. You can reach out to Chapter and say, hey, it sounds like it's going to be crazy. Put me on the list. Let's talk in October and find you another plan and see what's going on. Las Vegas isn't doing well either, but this station helps understand the system, plus all the great friends in Dr. Weir and Son. Yeah, Las Vegas, a lot of tourism there as well, and not doing great. I mean, charging that much on tips and stuff, that's just crazy. If I work, is it better to get Medicare or insurance through my employer? That's a good question, and it really depends on what your employer is providing. If your employer provides crap insurance, then you might want to check out Medicare. Well, you should check it out. Even if you think it's great, it might be expensive. So if you're eligible for Medicare and you're currently working and you have health insurance from current work, and that employer has 20 or more employees, your current work or your spouse's current work, you don't have to sign up for Medicare. You don't have to sign up for Part B Medicare. You can refuse it and save yourself $185. But even if you do have that health insurance, I always suggest checking it out. And to see, oh, okay, well, insurance at work covers this, this, and this, and it doesn't cover this, and there's a deductible there and a co-insurance there and all that kind of stuff. But if I go ahead and get Medicare, it's going to cost this much. And if I get a Medicare supplement, it's going to cover this. If I get a Medicare Advantage, it's going to cost this. And so I would do a comparison. Even if you don't have to, it doesn't hurt to just try. It might save yourself some money every month. So people can't afford vacations, let alone buy groceries. Yes. Yeah. That's, I am losing my SSDI because been on since 42, 3 surgeries, ruptured disc, walking, I don't want lose SSDI benefits, but they switch me at less money. What's the difference? Thank you for your podcast, GOAT. So, okay, they're switching. Okay, if they're switching you, that sounds like you're turning your full retirement age, 66 and 8 months or 67 or whatever the case may be. So they're just switching you to regular retirement benefits, which is good. You're going to continue to receive the same amount. It's going to be deposited the same day, all that kind of good stuff. It just, you're no longer receiving disability benefits. So therefore you can work if there's no limitations to work because you're not on disability anymore. And no more CDRs, the continuing disability reviews. So you're off of disability. So it is a beautiful thing. So no change whatsoever if that's what we're talking about. So, all right, I've got some video questions, just a few video questions. Let's see what we got here.
Hello, Dr. Weir. My name is Todd. I'm from Southern California. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you. Short and sweet. Filed for my retirement benefits in April of 2023 at a field office nearest my address of record here in Southern California. 1 year later, I rescinded the benefits at a field office in Wichita, Kansas, where I was working. Walked in, did it. I have the stamped SSA form, an SSA receipt, a copy of the check, my 1099 short and long printed out forms. Now in 2025, I'm receiving letters about my ineligibility to receive retirement benefits because I owe them money. Curiously, the amount that they state that I owe is 1 monthly payment's worth less than the amount that the 2 1099 long forms lay out that I both received and paid back. These letters are talking about wage garnishments and other legal actions, so they've got my attention. After being exhorted by your assistant to ask adamantly for a manager-to-manager note to get action on this, the most I could get from either the Wichita or SoCal generalists is that they had spoken to their supervisor and that the matter had been taken care of. I was as adamant as I dared, short of being outright hostile, although I was starting to feel it. I'm thinking to hire a lawyer and make or receive some kind of positive affirmation or a statement of facts. Where do we stand now? What went wrong?
Okay. All right. So yeah, hiring a lawyer, you can if you want to. I don't want to talk bad about lawyers because they're lawyers. But it's going to cost you so much more to hire a lawyer to do that because, it's not like Social Security disability where they just take part of your back pay. You're not getting any back pay. So anyway, so it's going to cost you more. So what I would do is, sounds like you just talked to somebody at the front window and, that's it. You need to file an official appeal, a request for a reconsideration. You need to fill out this form and you go onto my website, click on appeals, go down a little bit. It has the 4 levels of appeals. You're at level 1 and it requires a SSA 561. Let me click it here. And then my website actually gives you the form. It pops up there, really easy to fill out. It sounds like your story is a little bit longer. So I would put on the issue being appealed, you just put there see attached, and then you write, a separate piece of paper and you attach it. And that way it goes to an actual person that has to look at it rather than, you walking in and talk to someone and they say something which means nothing until you get an actual official decision letter. So it sounds like, yeah, there's a 1 month discrepancy. Don't get freaked out about the language about we're going to come after you with Black Hawk helicopters or whatever. Yeah, that's just, boilerplate language they put in there for people that don't pay what they're supposed to pay. So, yeah, so basically your case, in order to withdraw your case, two things have to be met. So within 12 months of filing, you can withdraw your case. And one is you request the withdrawal, and two, you pay all that money back. So Social Security is disagreeing that you paid all the money back that you received. So that sounds like there's a 1 month discrepancy there. So you just need to figure that out. And if the person that gets the request for reconsideration looks at it and sees you're correct, then they'll just cancel out that 1 month in the system. And then everything will be good. And then you can go ahead and refile and start your benefits. No problem. To expedite that 561, I would go ahead and fill it out, take it down to the local office there, wherever you are, and then also possibly contact your local politician and say, hey, I've been working on this for months and I just went down there and filed a reconsideration. And is there anything you do to kind of expedite that a bit? Because, you want to go ahead and start your Social Security retirement benefits, and you can't until they clean out the other things. So, all right, let's see what else we have here.
Hi, Dr. Ed. I had left a video question earlier about my husband and mostly my issues with Social Security and $166 a month that VA is supposedly sending me, that they have, Social Security has on their records. It's part of what's messing my stuff up. But anyway, the amounts I gave you, my husband, with his retirement benefits he got at his full retirement age, was like $1,900, and my PIA was $270 something dollars. And so I thought I was going to be getting half. Like I said, everything's mixed up, and I'll probably end up talking to you or someone in your firm. 'Cause
Okay, yeah, that if your PIA, your primary insurance amount is what, 100 under $200 and your husband is 1,900, then you should definitely sounds like the marriage requirements are good there. Then you should definitely be receiving benefits up to 50% on that person. Remember, you receive up to 50% if you receive exactly 50% if you're past your full retirement age when you start those benefits. But so let's say you're eligible for $1,000 from him. So they take your benefit and they offset that. So let's say your offset is $200, then you'll receive $200 from the $200 from your own record you're receiving, plus an $800 from your spouse's, your husband's. So for a total of $1,000. Again, this is all determined whether you're full retirement age at that time and everything. So the VA, I'm not sure how the VA works in there. The VA does not affect your Social Security, retirement, disability benefits, anything like that. The only thing that the VA would affect would be SSI benefits, possibly, because that's a needs-based program, and if you're getting a bunch from the VA, then you wouldn't be entitled to SSI, the needs-based program. So they take that into consideration, and hopefully that kind of answers your question. I don't do the private appointments anymore. I've got Mai Jackson, M-A-I Jackson. She retired. She worked for the Social Security Administration for a few decades, and she does personal appointments, but have to charge for those, unfortunately. But you can set up an appointment with her. But I don't think in your particular case, I don't think she'll be able to help you anymore because the VA shouldn't figure in there at all. So on your case as well, remember, if you have a problem with Social Security and you call Social Security and they tell you X, Y, and Z, whatever comes out of the mouth of any government employee, doesn't matter who it is. It may be accurate. Hopefully it is, but it may not be. Particularly if you're talking to Social Security and you're talking to the people at the front windows. Those are generalists. They're the hardest working, least paid people in Social Security, but they're generalists. They're not experts in, survivor benefits and independently entitled SSI and all that kind of stuff. So in order to get just like the previous gentleman, in order to get a definitive decision, you need to go through, unfortunately, the channels of filing appeal. So if you believe that you're getting the incorrect benefit, if you're not receiving spouse benefits and you think you should, and you think your VA benefits shouldn't offset your Social Security, which doesn't sound like it should, then you need to file that SSA 561, request an appeal. And yes, it does take forever. It's bureaucratic. I understand. But you file it, and an expert in that particular office will look at it, look at your record, and if they need to talk to you, they'll contact you. It takes a while, but if, let's say, a month or 2 months, 3 months down the line, they say, oh yeah, you were right, then they will take action effective the month you requested that appeal. So even if it takes you 2 or 3 months, you're not losing those 2 or 3 months. They will give you that back, or they better give you that back pay. Let me put it that way. They better give you that back pay. So there's that. All right. I've got one more video question here.
Hi, I'm Mary Lynn from Georgia. I'm 64 and I've been a surviving spouse since I was 27. And I heard you mention Windexing PIA. And could you explain that to me? And I think I might be eligible. If so, what do I need to do? So thank you very much.
Okay, Windexing is basically, it's a widow's index. Remember, as I said, when they calculate your Social Security benefits, they index your earnings based on a wage index, kind of an inflation. So that's why I always tell people when they check their online Social Security account, don't discount. Don't just forget about those earnings that you made in your 20s and 30s and say, well, when I was scooping ice cream at, 21 years old, I only made, $18,000. So I know that's not part of my high 35 years of earnings. Well, that was, 1980 or whether that $20,000 might be worth like $80,000 today. So don't discount that. So Windexing is basically if your spouse passed away early, they stop indexing at the year that that person passes away. But the Windex, the widow's indexing, they say, okay, no, we're going to take that person's benefit amount, how it's calculated, and we're going to continue indexing until basically they reach 60 years old. So that's just a different way they calculate your deceased spouse's benefits. And because your deceased spouse's benefits are calculated differently because they take that Windexing into consideration, if you're receiving benefits on that person's record, then your benefit will go up. And normally 99.9% of the time, if they did this online through regular MCS, the modernized claim system and Social Security, it's automatic. It's already built into the program and everything. If they had to do a manual adjudication, it's called an AO1 or an EF. I'm giving way too much how the sausage is made here, but anyway, then sometimes I've seen people mess that up and they forget to apply Windexing PIA. So I'm just going to give you the same information I gave you the last three people. SSA 561 reconsideration, and just have the people at the front window are definitely not going to know what you're talking about and whether it was applied and all that kind of stuff. So you're going to need to elevate this to an expert. So how do you do that? Request the request for reconsideration, and it's going to take forever. But if they determine that yes, Windexing PIA applies, then they'll do the right thing, or they better do the right thing. If not, you come back here and we tell you how to fix it. So. Darcy, I worked with the state of Florida for over 32 years. A decade ago, they started not requiring their OPS workers to pay Social Security. They take the money and invest it. Yeah, so you're part of the Social Security Fairness Act that was passed because you didn't pay into Social Security, and therefore your benefits were adjusted because of that. But now they're no longer adjusted because of that. So 3% of the workforce out there gets a higher PIA than the rest of us. And that's why I call the Social Security Fairness Act the Unfairness Act. And that was passed by Biden. It was supported by Trump, and it was supported by pretty much all politicians. Yeah, they threw the baby out with the bathwater on that one. So statement that OPM will not be taking Medicare out of my retirement check. Why? Probably because I've seen OPM kind of do it different ways. Medicare, once you start getting your Social Security check, then they usually take it out of your Social Security check rather than your OPM. So I think most people on Social Security benefits would feel that Wall Street is way too risky to be playing around with. Otherwise, guaranteed benefits smash the cap. Yeah, I agree. It's all good and beautiful while the market is going up, but I was taking retirement claims in 2008 when the stock market died. And people, they came in and they said, I didn't want to retire, but firms shut down, companies shut down. I had, a lot of money in my retirement. I've been saving up for decades. And now, pretty much it's all gone. And all I've got is Social Security. And so those people, and you're like, okay, well, if you're 20, yeah, but you can make it up again. 20, 30, 40 years old, you can make it up again. But all those people that are close to retirement, then they'll just lose it. So I haven't been down a settlement. So I told him my SSI until I do guess, and they drop my Medicaid, even though I need it. It's like I financially abuse you and nobody help you navigate. I haven't been down. Okay. So you're getting some type of settlement or something, lawsuit or accident or something like that. Yeah. So that will affect your SSI, and it just might affect your Medicaid. But remember, if you're receiving some type of settlement and something like that, and if it's for like medical, we had a lawyer on here sent me a nice message that said, hey, if you get some type of settlements for an accident and they're paying for your medical bills and Medicaid or Medicare already paid for it, then Medicare and Medicaid is going to come after you and say, hey, that money was for us, give it to us. So you might be receiving a settlement, but maybe that money goes to Medicaid or your health insurance company or whatever the case may be. And then whatever's left over, you can say, hey, sure, I've got another $5, $10, $20, $30,000 left over, but I've got a bunch of debts to pay off. I've got to buy a new car. I've got, this, that, and the other. It's called a spin down. So there are ways to address that. So, all right. We are over an hour, and I think that's it for today. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all looking out for each other. Could you run for U.S. Senate? No, I don't. Yeah, no, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think they'd want me there. So. I'm afraid I'd probably start kowtowing to the big, somebody sticks $1 billion and millions of dollars in your face. Yeah, I think I'd refuse it, but you never know. So I don't want to tempt myself. All right. Y'all have an awesome day.